Welcome to 2K Sports Studios. I'm Greg Gumbel with Clark Kellogg. We're here with the 2K Sports Season Preview Show. These are the top 5 teams in college hoops as we begin the new season. The Kansas Jayhawks come in as the number 1 ranked team, followed by North Carolina, Memphis, Michigan State, and Louisville. What do you think of the top 5 teams going into the year, Clark?
I like the potential of each of these teams. I think all of them have a chance to win the championship this year. They're poised, loaded with talent, hungry, and very eager to prove themselves this coming year. I think each of these teams would be a dream to coach.
Kansas is in the catbird seat to start the season, sitting pretty in the number 1 spot. They are a very strong team, but they have plenty of competition from within their own league.
It's virtually impossible to go through a conference schedule unscathed. They'll probably take their lumps, but it might pay off come tournament time, as tough conferences tend to produce tough teams.
North Carolina is in the number 2 spot. They had a nice finish to the year, but it ended with a disappointing loss in the regional final.
They were so close to the Final Four they could taste it. And the memory of that Elite 8 loss should be all the motivation they need this year to work just that little bit harder. We'll see if they can get over the hump this time.
Memphis comes in as number 3. Their total of 33 wins last season was remarkable.
Trying to live up to that record may be tough, but it's a nice problem to have. They're going to have to rack up a bunch of wins before conference play begins if they want to even come close to that total this season.
Michigan State starts the year as the 4th-ranked team. Their tournament last year came to an abrupt end with a loss in the second round, Clark.
It can be demoralizing for a team not to get past the first weekend of the tournament. But they've had all summer to forget about that loss and instead build on the positives from last season.
Louisville is the number 5 team. They had a wonderful year last season, finishing with 24 wins.
That total identified them as a team to be reckoned with in college basketball. I won't be surprised to see them reach or surpass that total again this season.
Here's the next group of teams in our preseason top 25. What's your impression of that set of teams?
These teams might not be in the top 10, but you better not overlook them. I would venture to say that several of these teams will win their conference and surprise people in the tournament.
The Arizona Wildcats, the number 13 team, have stirred up a lot of talk in the offseason. Their dreams of tournament glory last year were quickly dashed in a first-round loss.
This year they have the potential to do much better than last. Last season they spent a lot of their energy getting to March Madness and were worn out once they got there. I'll bet they handled the journey to the tournament much better this time.
The Oregon Ducks, the number 15 team, have also generated a lot of interest. This team may lean on some untested players this season, but that might not be a bad thing, Clark.
A few of the players on this team who didn't get the chance to play quality minutes last season are poised to step right into the spotlight and have breakout years this season. You may not know their names now, but you will soon.
Okay, Clark, let's take a look at the teams to close out the preseason top 25 poll. How about this list?
I think there were a few teams that were slighted and should probably be in the top 25 ahead of some of these teams. But I'll hold my tongue and talk about the teams that do deserve to be here.
The Florida State Seminole, the number 19 team, could be one to watch. They're ranked where they are because it's almost impossible to find anything wrong with this team.
Nearly every team has an Achilles heel or a weakness, but this team is so well balanced, they're going to be a tough matchup for anybody.
The Clemson Tiger, the number 22 team, are also worth keeping an eye on. The experts are having a hard time classifying this team because they have such versatile players.
What I think will be one of their strengths is their ability to adapt to their opponent's style of play. They'll be able to come at you in a lot of different ways, and I think the coaching staff is going to take full advantage of that chameleon style.
We've come to the part of the show when we look at the top players in the nation and unveil the list of our preseason All-Americans. There before you are the 5 first-team All-Americans as we begin the season, and what a list it is. What's your take on the first teamer at the top of the list, Clark?
Atkin is a force to be reckoned with, Greg. He exploits every opponent weakness and then uses his skill to dominate games. No matter what, he'll find a way to get the job done and lead his team to victory.
As for our next first teamer, Tennessee is more than willing to go into battle with him, Clark.
Law is really something special, Greg. There's plenty to like about him as a player. He's got that deadly combination of smarts and physical skills that makes him so difficult to defend. A coach's mentality in the body of a world-class athlete, Any questions as to why he's on the list?
Next up is a player that's drawing comparisons to some of the all-time college greats. The Texas Tech Red Raiders are fortunate to have him in their corner.
Murphy is a first-teamer without a doubt. He has such versatility. He can take it and rake it, get down the court with the ball, and make plays. He'll be a nearly impossible matchup for their opponents.
Let's move on to a player who's worked very hard to earn his spot on the list. The North Carolina Tar Heels can depend on a solid effort from him each and every night.
Nava is the anchor of his team, and if they're going to the promised land, he's the one that's going to lead them there. We always talk about the guys with great hands. Well, he's got great feet. I love those happy feet. There are few players in the nation with better footwork than him, and that's what allows him to always be in the right position, whether it comes to rebounding or finding space for an open shot.
And finally, we have another superb player to round out the first team. The Georgetown Hoyas will probably get used to seeing him make the impossible look ordinary.
Whitaker already has opposing coaches drawing up game plans designed to stop him, but it won't matter what they come up with. Give him too much room and he'll burn you off the dribble. Or play him tight and watch him find a teammate for an easy hoop. One way or the other, he's unstoppable.
Now let's move on to the second team All-Americans. Not such a bad list, huh? These elite players all have the potential to have historic seasons if the right pieces fall into place. The Virginia Cavaliers have built their team around this young man's talent. And I'd say that's a pretty good idea.
Wagner was a very hard player to leave off the first team. If I had to pick some front runners for the Player of the Year award, he would be right there on the list. I've seen him take over games even when he isn't scoring 30. There are some great scorers among these All-Americans, and he's one of them, but he does much more than score.
The next player on the team is a sensational player in his own right. Tennessee is in for a treat if he can pull it all together and have a great year.
Sidai is someone you could look at as last season progressed and see his improvement on a weekly basis. I have no doubt he belongs on this All-American team, and I think the sky's the limit for him this season.
We can all look forward to some very exciting highlights from this young man this year. The Tennessee Volunteers are looking for a lot of production from him, and they probably won't be disappointed.
Ingle has terrific skill in so many facets of the game. It isn't out of the realm of possibility to say that he might even be a little bit underrated. I know it seems far-fetched to say that about a preseason All-American pick, but I'm not sure people realize just what a huge year he's in for, Greg.
Our next All-American may have designs on the first team by the end of the season. Texas A&M has one of the most reliable go-to guys in the country in him.
Dawn was one of the first players that came to mind when I was thinking of the top 10 players in the nation. The success of his team rests directly on his shoulders, and I believe he has the ability to take them all the way to the title.
And here we have the final player on our list of All-Americans, the UCLA Bruin. You know who their fan favorite is going to be this year?
Gogarty is last but not least on the All-American list. His upside is higher than a lot of the other guys here because he has so much raw ability. He could jump to the first team this year if he harnesses all that ability into the complete package.
All right, Clark, that should do it for us here in the studio. For myself and all of us here at 2K Sports, thanks for watching our season preview. Enjoy all the college hoops action to come, everyone.